Hey everybody, Chris here. In this video, I'm going to tell you why I think the Dogecoin bottom is in. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when my new videos come out, as well as when new live streams. This week, a lot of eyes are on the United States Federal Reserve. Yes, the FOMC meeting this week, which I think is still going to be a nothing burger because I've been saying for months, no interest rate cuts yet for the Fed. But there'll be volatility and everyone's kind of anticipating and waiting and see what happens. What's Powell going to say? Is it going to be dovish or hawkish or all? None of that matters. None of that matters in the bigger picture, which I'll take a look at. Let's take a look at the charts in the news. I'll show you what I'm looking at. We start here looking at the current Dogecoin chart, and we're about 17.13 right now, just over 17 cents. We did have this big pullback over the weekend, as I had predicted on Friday's live stream, and I bought on the dip right here around 17.15. My actual price was 17.25 on Robinhood, but we've talked about Robinhood before and how that limit order works. But I thought that that was going to be the bottom there, and it dropped a little bit lower later on Sunday night. Came down to 16.95. Repeated actually what happened last Wednesday. So that could be a new double bottom that is in, again, taking out leveraged longs, which kind of opens itself up to taking off and going higher. We did have this wedge form. Looks like it's another wedge after breaking out of it, forming as well. Again, we see these repeated wedges, and eventually there's a breakout of that, and I will show that on a chart in just a minute. Bitcoin kind of doing the same thing. Again, big drop that we had last Wednesday for Bitcoin down to 93,000, and then last night about 93.5 or so on the bottom here, a little bit higher. Again, took out a lot of leverage there. We'll check the heat maps on my next live stream. Will be Monday afternoon. That's right, check in 4 o'clock p.m. East Coast time, and we will follow up on the day's trading. But that's where Bitcoin sits right now, just over 94K. And so that is looking like, again, this sort of double bottom pattern. It's across most crypto that is happening, which looks like that is the short-term bottom that is in. I'm recording this Monday morning. The futures are down a little bit on the stocks. We saw that last night as well. Which I posted on X and how that looked. And also on X, you also see my updates in the mornings that I give. And here's Dogecoin, and there's Bitcoin, and there's Ethereum there. If you want to check that out, follow me on X at ChrisPax. And I give my updates on how I see things trading going forward. Overall, Crypto Rovers, like, look, let's take a look at Bitcoin, and Bitcoin overall is on an upward trend and comes back to this line here and rechecks it now for a third time before moving higher. That is looking like a positive move up for Bitcoin. What does this mean for Doge? Doge turned red over the weekend. Is it a dip worth buying? Is this the dip, right? And that's what a lot of people are wondering. Yes, some bears in the chat are just talking about lower prices, and we still have some who are just insisting on Dogecoin dropping below 10 cents. I don't mind having the conversation with these guys, but then they just get as annoying as all hell, and I got to put them in a timeout, and eventually I have to ban them because they just won't engage in a thoughtful conversation. They just want to be a troll, and I'm just like, why? Let's talk about it, guys. Let's just talk about it. But that's okay. We're all right with Doge. Doge is just hanging out again. Later in the month, we will see a return. Trader Tardigrade says, look, Doge has broken out of this downward channel here. Going to come back, retest. That's what has been happening. And then it'll move higher. So that's a typical pattern that we will see again and again. And as we zoom out, we're like, traders, like, we're in these cycles, the 4-year cycles. As we zoom out, we are still in this cycle 3 pattern, expecting a larger breakout to come. If you know, you know, I guess. Alan? If you know, you know, I guess. But there are still a lot of bears out there. It's amazing how many there are. You think, oh, recession and tariffs and all of this, and you're feeding into the fear, and you're not looking at the bigger picture of what's going on, particularly with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is not in a position right now, as I call out on my Bitcoin chart here. Bitcoin is not in a position to have a long-term pullback. Yes, there's a short-term kind of weakness, but the long-term still looks good. Dogecoin bounce expected by analysts who called the Bitcoin bottom. Is this bottom in? What is this about? This is Astronomer, and Astronomer is looking at the Dogecoin chart saying, look, Doge only moves slightly off the low. Again, we saw this earlier, 2024. We were watching the dips that Dogecoin had down to essentially it was 10 cents, right? And we were looking at that last summer and we said that was a gift. Buying in that purple area was definitely a gift last summer. So here in April, when we saw that dip down to 13 cents, same situation. That is the gift. We've now moved higher, come back and rechecking at $16.95, and we'll see a little bounce probably before moving higher. So Astronomer says, look, I called the Bitcoin bottom early. I'm willing to do the same with one of my favorite altcoins, Doge. Last time we've been high time frame bullish, left the range mindset was during October 2024. We bought Doge at 10 cents at the time. It pulled a 5x before retracing for what, in my opinion now, has become a higher low. So that is a higher low on the Dogecoin chart. The idea is based on the same exact analysis as previous, even up to the point of Bitcoin, then ETH, and now one by one alts bottoming out, all through cyclical timing, sentiment, and their respective POIs. In my opinion, given this is an altcoin, expectations are likely beyond 50 cents. Having heavy spot bags already pays for little risk. If you want a defined risk for a defined reward, I think a long as presented also makes sense. So here we go. Nailing the Bitcoin bottom call also allows us to try and make these types of plays. So that is the view there of Doge. Again, we hit an early bottom. Kind of interesting. Early bottom was actually last fall, and then April, the fear of the tariffs caused that sort of quick flash crash. I mean, we were already going down from January until that early April Liberation Day, but it freaked everyone out. Markets don't like uncertainty, right? So where do we go from here? And is 35 cents still possible? Could we see this rebound that Astronomer's talking about up to at least 35 cents short term? Is this a reversal pattern that is starting to show up? So what we're watching is the recovery, and we will bounce, and it will definitely bounce. Now, how high this goes up over the summer, rest of May through June, July, and August, could we see that recovery all the way up? Or will it play out like what I think is going to be a little more drawn out and not quite as high as that? So we'll see how that plays out. The first major target for price is the resistance at 20 cents. We'll be watching that, and that's what the bulls need to beat. After this, 27-cent level comes into play, and the final target will be 33 to 35 cents. Again, I don't think we're going to be seeing that quite so soon over the summer. It's going to play out a little longer. I think the narratives that we have in play for Dogecoin ETFs, for more retail adoption, what the House of Doge is working on, and those partnerships, I think that's going to take a little bit longer than most people think will take. So that's where I see Dogecoin right now, but I do believe the bottom has been in. This is a higher low on the short term, and as we zoom out, Again, it's a much higher low than where we were in early April when we were looking at 13.2 on the low. Some were expecting maybe 12.5. That narrative did not play out. We did not have the ABCD pattern that some were calling for. Instead, Dogecoin got rejected there on a good time frame at 13.8 and moved higher. We bought on the dip there. And like I said on Sunday, I bought that dip. Did come in just a little bit lower overnight, but is looking strong going forward. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Is the Dogecoin bottom in, or are you one of those bears? Also check out my next live stream, 4:00 p.m. East Coast time on Monday. Give the video a like if you haven't already. Please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.